and with the rest of the world that we live in. And more importantly, by having the right knowledge that every sentient being has the same treasure within, we will be able to view the world and everything in it as a part of each other. That is the so-called oneness. And when we can do this, when everyone can do this, and when there's no segregation in our society and the world we live in, we integrate ourselves back into this oneness. Everybody back to this oneness. That is the original state of life and the ultimate truth. So the concept of oneness, I think, which can be dated back to at least 3,000 years or 5,000 years so far, and which is now backed by the quantum physics theory and the quantum mechanical world, in which I think whoever has interest in quantum sciences, they will know the idea of quantum physics. It emphasizes that nothing in this world is separated, even from myself. Between the distance between myself to my screen, yeah, it looks like there's a space, but in quantum physics world, nothing is separated. So when we finally come to recognize that nothing is separated, which means that whatever we do to others will eventually come back to us, just like what we do to our mother nature or to the environment we live in. Whatever we do to them will sooner or later strike back to ourselves. I mean, look at everywhere in the world at the moment. I don't need to stress that. So when this fact is being widely acknowledged or widely realized, what sort of harm that we can do to others? What sort of like advantage that we will be willing to take from others? And this is one of the biggest benefits by realizing the true treasure actually lies within. So this is the reason I chose to talk about. There will be problem in our way, but hey, there's the key for all the questions that come to us in our life, which is live within in our own library. Right, so let's start our topic today. So as always, it's a force habit. I always like to start a topic by sharing a quote, which I currently heard, or sometimes I share a quote that I repeatedly share with others. And the reason for it is because it makes so much sense, right? So today I chose to share this one. Why do you insist the universe is not a conscious intelligence when it gives birth to conscious intelligences? And this is from Cicero. I'm really sorry, I don't know who that is, but I'm sure it's one of the philosophers. And I know there will be people out there doesn't agree with this quote. And the reason I share this quote is not to seek agreement, but it's just to use this formula and to reflect how we look at things nowadays. And it's a bit like, we don't really need to believe that the universe out there has some sort of intelligence, therefore we have the intelligence. We don't need to believe that, because it's a free country. We believe based on what we input for ourselves, based on what we read. And the reason for this is I would like to use this formula to reflect how we look at things now. So there are people out there who don't believe in soul. People out there who don't believe in conscience or previous lives, afterlives. There's so many things that people don't believe, and also there's so many things that people do believe. So I recently read this. It's a bit like I don't know if I have shared this. It's a bit like in this picture. When we heard something for the first time, it all makes sense. But through the time that we put those theory into test, after maybe 10 years or 20 years, for now it's 2024, but if we bring back some knowledge, especially textbook from school, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, now they don't make any sense. And the reason for it is because the knowledge that we have towards the world that we live in, it keeps evolving. So the more advanced that we are now in terms of all the technology that we can use to really understand the world we live in, it's always improving day by day. So what we found out 10 years ago or 20 years ago, we can't really say they are wrong, but now they are not useful. They are not valuable. It's a bit like I work in the hospital, and in the hospital we also have students. They study like imaging, so they look into radiology, and they take pictures in our brain and everywhere through our body to see what's wrong inside. So we have this library in our building, and every year in the end of their semesters, there's always books to be given away. Well, to be given away is a nicer way to say about to recycle them, because they're no longer useful. And the reason for it is because all the study, all the knowledge they're accumulating. So today we know something that we think, oh, that's it. That's the answer to everything. Maybe 5 years later, or maybe 10 years later, we will know, oh, that is not it yet, but that is maybe the best guess that we can get today. And the reason I share this quote is because I recently I quite like I read a lot about NDE, near their experiences. And recently I read this literature that is specifically focusing on study and near the experiences patients all over around the world. And one of these patients was very interesting. So the way he was trying to describe his life before NDE and his life after NDE, I think it's very interesting. So what he said is actually exactly the formula in the quotes. So what he shared about his life before NDE was like he felt like he was living in a like massive warehouse, like Amazon's warehouse, where like all the supermarkets warehouse, like really massive and enormous. And he lives in this warehouse without any lights. So it's purely dark, pitch black. So all he has is a little torch, like little torch in our phone. So all he could see before the experience of NDE, all he could see is using this little light, with a little bin. It can reach to a certain distance, but not very far. So all he could see was totally dependent how far this bin of light, this flash, can reach. So we're always looking at something, and then we will always guess, oh, that might be something related to A, to B, X, Y, Z. So it's always, the life is like this, and we have no idea where we are, which is actually quite accurate. We have no idea what we're here for, to the majority, yes. So that's how he described the life before NDE. It's about enormous house. You got only very tiny bin of torch, and then you only got to see something out of something. So what happened to his life after NDE? He described it's been like someone switch on the light of the warehouse, and all of a sudden he could see everything in the warehouse. He saw the colors that he didn't know existed, and he saw this everything, all the theory that he didn't know that they will work in this way. So when the lights in the warehouse was on, he got to see everything, and then he had this a pure lucidity in his head, and even though he said, even though now someone switched off the light of the warehouse, everything he already saw is in his conscience, in his memory, and no one can take that away. So now back to this formula. Why do you insist the universe is not conscious intelligence? Back to this formula. I think this is about the same thing, isn't it? So the world we perceive, we project, is basically about all the knowledge that we have from this world. And those people, unfortunately, they have their near-death experiences, which I believe wouldn't be a happy one. They somehow were able to see something, to get some information, and to share with us. That is everybody. Well, today actually is quite funny. This morning I had a very random idea that just came to me. I thought just to share with you guys. So because the culture-wise, the culture difference, we all have some sort of taboo. And in my culture, this is something that we never talked about it. And in Western culture, this is the same. This is something we would never thought that they can be true or real. So because I was reading those NDE, so I was start to think, I start to feel like the great numbers of research, about 200 to 500, they dedicated into cases over the world, especially in Western culture. And I start to look into Google, like how many NDE cases were discussed, were being put into some sort of working group in Asia or Asian culture. It's actually not many. So I start to try to understand, why is this? Why the same sort of like study is very popular here, but not in different cultures, not very popular. And I start to link something together. It's because the country I grew up, we were sort of like very okay, for example, if people talk to like their spiritual experiences in my culture, we don't think this person is mad. We don't think this person is trying to draw like attention from the public. We don't think that. We tend to just listen, and then just, oh, that's very interesting. You might have to pay some attention to something. And when the same thing happens in here, I really notice that people are not in a very open-minded or very encouraged to share their experience. So I think the Almighty Creator, or you want to call it Almighty God, the Almighty Creator is fair to all culture. A culture is our thing, isn't it? We created it, we give it a name. This is the culture because we do things differently. I think the Almighty Creator is very, very fair. And because we in here, we shut a door for information like this to flow in, therefore there has to be another way for those information to be shared. So this is not about to believe it or not. This is about, this is something there. So when it comes to quantum physics, some people never understand it. Therefore, they will say, ah, this is nuts. This is something people come up, and because we couldn't understand the true meaning of everything. It's just like some people, they don't understand the Big Bang. That's the same idea. But when it comes to life, when it comes to something that's so close to ourselves, I don't think it's about if there's a theory to explain it, but it's more about if something really like that does exist. So that's totally two separate things. So that's why I was very eager to share this quote with you. So it's just really to adjust the way we feel our world. We don't. I'm not here to force you to accept one idea. No, no, no. We are here to open all kind of possibility, and to get our mind really logic and rational by going through all the literature, scientific based and or working group based, and really get to allow our treasure within to really think if this all makes sense, or they only make sense on the piece of paper. So right, sorry. So this is the reason I chose to share this. Right. Any questions before I go to the next slide? Okay, so I will take that as no questions so far. All right, so this is a tree, so everybody can see the tree, and this is also alive, isn't it? Well, otherwise, how can a tree be alive? But is this really life, or is this the manifestation of life? There's a life within, definitely, somewhere, in the soil or in the root or somewhere. But that's life. That's a unit of life, but not life itself. If I now put a rose in there, so the form on the outside, the life form on the outside changes, but something within is still there. That's why it's a rose. And now if I put a giraffe there, so the manifestation of life changes, but the life within stays the same. So that's why we want to encourage people to see the life within each other, not just on the outside. Because if we only concentrating on the outside, it's just like this tree. If we only concentrating on what is available to us on the surface, on the ground, that's only the tree. We missed the most essential part of our journey. And by looking only the leaves, what's above the ground, it's been like, if we only think and what we need and what we should have in our life, or how much money I should have in my bank account, all those things are the most important thing, then it's been like we only put all our work, all our life, all our intelligence on the surface. And when in fact it's actually the root underneath that you can't see, that needs attention. I mean, now we are all grown up, and so if we say to somebody that do you believe that under the leaves, their roots in the ground, under the ground, for any adults they will believe it. Why? Because it's common sense, isn't it? They don't need to dig into the soil to really find the root to believe it. But if now we say the same thing to children, like small children, and then we say to them, they can only see the tree above the ground. But if we say to them, do you know, under the ground, their roots, they look like a human, that's actually part of the tree, they wouldn't believe us, because they never saw a picture like this, and they haven't learned or studied this like this at school year. And if we ask them, if you don't believe me, go dig deeper, then you will see it. Do we think they will just go and dig? They will. So that's the nature, that we would like to find out what is the truth behind everything. But we won't do that because we already know. So by only look at the tree on the surface, it's a bit like, okay, how to make sure I can keep this tree alive? Water it. But what about if I only water the leaves on the outside? I make sure each leaves of the tree is moist, is wet. Only on the outside, only the leaves. It wouldn't take long. The tree will die. There's nothing wrong about the water I water on, but it shows how little we know how to look after ourselves, our life. So in this meeting, there are people here today, they already have their blessing when Master was here. So the day when we had our blessing is actually to, maybe you didn't understand each word that's been said or shared to you that day. Maybe you didn't, but that day there was a moment that we know that there's a life within me, that this life one day will have to return to somewhere. So that was the day. So when we realize there's a life within us, within me, that is how we work with our true master, and this master lives within. So here's some picture. You can see the one in the middle is policeman, and then the criminal, and then a doctor, and then there's a man with a cigar and a gun. We call that as gangster. And then the one above, professor, or anyone, is very academic. So all those, even though they have a different occupation, career, but they have one thing in common. They all have a life within. And what makes they their end result different. They make different choices, isn't it? And what is the support evidence for them to make that choice? It's because for some, they really know how to use their life well. And for some who especially don't believe there's a consequence that follows each action that we decide to act, then their result would be more regretful. And when we lost the principle of being a human, things will start to go wrong. When we were little, when we were like small children, when things go wrong, the impact is low. But when we are now, we are responsible for our action, then that will become a different story. So when we forgot the principle of being a human, things will start to go wrong, and we will impact not just ourselves, but also impact our environment as well. So those pictures, I'm sure you can see from news every day. Um, can you tell the picture? There's one with a car is already half in the water. That one is in California, and the one next to it with a yellow bus in the water, that is actually this year in Switzerland. I've never seen such floods in Europe. Now I'm seeing it. And the next one, also so many cars in the water, and that looks like just on the street, and that is France. And France is going to have Olympic today, or from yesterday, that was the opening. And the little girl with the mask on, that was in Australia, and the background is red. That was because the wildfires that year, so people got no land that was safe or cool enough for them to stand on, so they have to be in the sea on a boat. So that's what happened when we don't know how the principle of the world work. So we put ourselves in the biggest risk that we have no solution to get us out of that. And this is how important that we need to know. There's a way the things should be done. There's a way that we should treat each other. And there is also a way that we need to know about ourselves when we can. All right. Any questions so far before I go to the next one? Oh, there's another picture. That's a COVID. Yeah, you got all the doctors and nurses in scrub with a mask. Well, the thing about COVID, there's another word I think called plague or plague. In the old time, when the new virus, they couldn't find the cure for it, like a vaccination. I'm not too sure if they had a vaccination in the old time, but that's how scary when we don't know what is this. Because if we know what it is, then we will be able to come up with a plan to try to resolve it. But if we don't know where this come from, and then what is this, then we're doomed because we don't know how to fix it. So here is some of the treasure that we already have it with us, but without really using it. And the reason we don't use it are many. And one of the reasons is because, well, no one is doing it. But according to Dalai Lama, he once said something I really, really adore. He said, wrong is wrong, even when everybody's doing it. Right is right, even when no one is doing it. We now come into an age, come into an era that what is right, what is wrong is coming into mixed together. But we do need people to be very, very righteous to really stand up when things shouldn't happen that way. I'll show you some of the videos in the later slide. So the first one, we have this treasure embedded in ourselves is called loyalty. No, this is cliche, isn't it? you must be like expecting something never heard before. No, this is why it works, what it gets things done. Because okay, the first loyalty we need to have is to be loyal to our country. When I say this to some of the members before, they always like say to me, "What? Why do we need to be loyal to our politicians? Our politicians are awful." This is what they say to me. Well, I didn't say we have to be loyal to our politicians. I said we have to be loyal to our country. Politicians, government change, but our country doesn't change. Our nation don't change. They're the same. And to be fair, if those politicians, people say they're awful. If those politicians they know they need to be loyal to their country, then we won't have so many problems like the way we do today, won't we? We won't have any politician that only look after themselves but not the people in it, isn't it? And all over the world, there are in numbers of countries that like corruption or illegally expanding their border, and which cause wars and were misuse of taxpayers' money, all that. So if this idea has been uh, not realized, yes, realized that they need to be used in the right way, then we won't have so many problems like the way we have today. So this is the first loyal. We need to be loyal, not just us, politicians especially, because they work for the country. And the second loyalty will have to be our family. When it comes to family, it has quite a few different conditions, and so if we only talk about to be loyal to your commitment, to your marriage, and there's always temptations coming in. So the key is to try to manage temptations. I think there's a quote about out of sight, out of mind. I think to go just a step further, we will have to try to practice not to think of the things that we are not supposed to, or not to have the ideas in our head or the thoughts in our head, to allow them to grow, especially when we know once they've been thought about on a daily basis, then one day they will be strong enough to lead our mind and even our physical self to do something that is going to be so regretful in the end, isn't it? So that is two different degrees of loyalty, and if we can all exercise this and bear this in mind, I'm not saying I'm doing it so well. No, we are all here to learn and to remind each other we can do a lot better than this. So if we can all exercise this within our family and within a certain degree of respect to our country, then loyalty becomes a protection that ensures that we don't lose the freedom of our mind. At the moment, I can't speak on behalf of you, but at the moment, my mind is pretty free, because the moment I will lose the freedom of my mind is when I have done something that I'm not supposed to, and I'm always constantly 24/7 just worry I will be caught, I'll be busted. So that's the freedom of the mind. So at the moment, I hope you guys are still having the freedom, but that is how we lose the freedom of our mind, because we've done something maybe no one knows, but hey, we know. I'm the person that know about myself. So yeah, to be loyal to all the countries, and also that's our family. And I also want to share some of the quotes from our Hongli teacher. So the first one is all the bad tempers are built over time. So sometimes we do small thing, small like naughty things, and then we don't think, that wouldn't matter. But well, when it accumulates, that in the end, it becomes so powerful that we cannot control. So that's what we call Dao cultivation is in daily, because everything that we do with a reputation, in the end, that it will become something. It become our character, and our characters in the end become our destiny. And the next one is doing good deeds is the way to better your destiny, our destiny. And the best good deed that we can do is to provide guidance in which it prevents sentient beings, that's everybody with alive, from going to endless cycle of birth and rebirth. So in here, we talk about good deeds when we talk about not too good. So I think what we just mentioned about the freedom of the mind is we we can try to lie to so many people, but we are the only person that we will never be able to lie to. So that's the conscience within, and that is also part of the gift that prevent us from going completely astray and never come back out of the track. Right. So this is the first treasure lies within. And the next one is called filial piety. It's a very old tradition, and it's been practiced from for like at least 3,000, 4,000 years. And I think this is the time for them to come back. So filial piety is actually it's a very, very basic way to I think I remember I asked one of the members about what do you think a filial piety is, and he said to me, is to respect your parents. I don't know, I just feel like that's not enough, isn't it? Because I can also respect my friends. I can also respect um, uh, some public figure that I admire. But I think when it comes to parents, they really deserve more than just respect. I mean, they were there when we were so ill. They were there. They are the ones they worried about us when we were being hospitalized, and they were there when the whole world abandoned us. So I think to those degrees, they do deserve more than just being respect. So when it comes to filial piety, it has a couple of different level. Let's see what sort of filial piety that we can do if we still have our parents with us. So the very basic filial piety that we can do is to return the love and care for our parents, not just to make sure they got something to eat, but also to care about them the way they care for us. If we only make sure they got something to eat, what's the difference between having parents and having a pet, isn't it? We can do more than for our pets. So if we can do more than that, we definitely need to do a bit more for our parents without, even though there have been arguments, there have been very tough time that you hate each other, that we hate each other. But even the tongue, sometimes it got bitten by the tea, but the tongue never say, I hate you, tea, I will never be your friends again. But still live together. Sometimes the argument, it happens without any purpose. So anyway, so the very basic level of filial piety is to return love and care for our parents, and the ground level, a ground level of filial piety is to make sure that our parents will not suffer from the cycle of birth and rebirth again, because any form of a rebirth implies inevitable suffering. Because once we are born into this world, even though you come from a very wealthy family, but things can change, isn't it? I mean, there's no guarantee that babies or people from a very wealthy family will never fall sick. No, there's no guarantee that people from a very well family background will never aging. They will. They will, because once we're in this life form, we have to go through everything what happens to life and to everybody, and that is actually the main reason Buddha Shakyamuni left his palace when he was a prince, that he wanted to understand why I was born into this world, to face something I didn't want to, and to go ill, to become aged, and then to die. What is the purpose of this? And that's why he left his father, because his father couldn't stop him from aging, or couldn't stop him from getting sick, and that's why he left. And that's why he went out to search for the answer to the truth. After 16 years, he finally realized the truth lies within. He had 3 teachers, didn't he? And 3 teachers taught him different way of searching for the truth, and it didn't work. That maybe worked for the first couple of years, but it didn't work in the long term. And that's what we just mentioned earlier about all the knowledge that we have was generated from a certain generation. They all work for the first 5 years or 10, but after we put them into the test of time, they wouldn't be able to survive, because the fabric of it is incomplete. This is just be like when it really works, when it will not change. It's be like diamond. When it's a real diamond, it will be a real diamond 5,000 years ago, and it will still be real now. And if this diamond is real, it will be real in the UK, and it will also be real in wherever you want it to be, India. So when we put things, so when everything that can go through space and time and still remains, it will have its value that nothing can overtake, like all the teachings. Of course, now we have well, I have one of the members who is now traveling in Japan, and then yeah, he had a very interesting sharing with me the other day, and he said to me, I don't really need so many teachings, because I know quite a lot of things today, because I subscribe NASA newsletter. I have a telescope in my garden. He's always looking at the stars. I don't really need those teachings, because I can have so many tools nowadays. I don't need those. And I was like, yeah, but those things were already new and discovered 5,000 years ago, when those people didn't have whatever you just have now. Your telescope, your internet, your Google, they didn't have it. So how did they find out? How did Laozi know that outside this universe and inside this universe, there was something that exists? And Laozi was so struggling to come up with a name, with a proper name to really name it. So he couldn't just leave it. He wanted us to know, as like us, like 1,000 years later, he wanted us to know this is something there that creates you and me. You need to find out, so you know your way home. So Laozi didn't have Google. He didn't have internet. He didn't even go to school. So how did they know? The reason they know is because they follow the treasure within. They follow the true self within. They look at the world outside, and they look at themselves inwardly. So everything starts to mimic. So, for example, by looking at the 4 seasons, Laozi then realized that is the whole cycle of life. And he is right. From spring to summer to autumn to winter. That is just like us, isn't it? When we were born, we were just like a baby. Baby is brand new. And when it's spring, the trees in my garden, the leaves, they're so cute. They're like baby leaves. They're so small. And we are like that. And then when go into the summer, we're like a teenager, really bad temper, really easy to get really, gutted, and don't like anybody. And because of the heat, but that is also the time that we grow. And when it's autumn, we start to become more understated. We start to become more not introvert, but we start to have all the knowledge that we are able to share with our younger generation. And then when it goes to winter, well, that's about time to really to go. So he was right. So Laozi was right at his time, 2,500 years ago. So he didn't have any newspapers. So how did he know? we are no much different than he was. Maybe we are younger, but he studied the whole Mother Nature, the same Mother Nature that is still outside your garden. It's the same. Nothing changed. Maybe the plants, flowers changed. Nothing changed. The soil is the same. The water that we drink every day is the same. Nothing in the Mother Nature changed, but it's been damaged. Yes, but it can be fixed. So, okay, let's not go into that area. Otherwise, this will go very, very long. So how do we make sure that our parents, if life does come back? Yes, the other reason I was into NDE experiences is because there's so many academic study about interviewing NDE patients. And one of the things is particularly interesting to me is those patients, they, after they left their body, they still remember their grandma, for example, their mother and their sibling, they still remember. So that tells me one thing. So after this soul, this true self left this physical form, I still have my memories with me. So that says one thing. This conscience continues. So if this conscience continues, what we do now is very, very, very crucial. Because when the life does come back, and when the life comes back, what we are doing now will then translate it into the effect. So now we are doing, like, every word I just said, or every decision I just make, or all the ideas I just have now will then become the effect that I will have to face later. But don't be petrified, because there's nothing to worry if what we are doing now is the right thing to do. We only need to worry when we are not doing something we are supposed to. Yeah, then yes, that's the time to worry. So how to ensure, if life comes back and if the cycle of a birth and rebirth never stops, so how do we ensure our parents are out of the cycle of birth and rebirth? So if you used to have your parents and they're still around, then try to introduce them or try to share with them what is the true meaning of having a life. You know, something, where does this life come? Of course, our physical form are from our parents, but what about the one inside this physical form? I mean, my name is Leela, you have your names, but I didn't bring this name with me when I was born into this world. You know, I didn't take this name in my pocket when I was born into this world. This name was given to me by my parents. But what is me before I become Leela? So that's the question to think about. Maybe just you know, you can share with our parents. Where does this life need to return to in the end? So the reason to share not just our parents, but also our loved one, our friends, and the reason to share those information or messages to them is so they will have the same opportunity to use their lifetime. Our lives are very limited, isn't it? 70, 80, that's it. Check out. That's it, very short. And then if we have a job, we all have a job. If it's a full-time job, a lot shorter, isn't it? So the reason to share those information is so that they have enough time to work on something the right way, and for the right result, the way to return. Where are we going to after this life journey ends? So in other words, is to sharing the message of Tao. That's what we call life. That's what I also call Tao life. So they are given the equal opportunity or the equal chance to make their next life journey better. I mean, in the end of the day, whichever we believe in or which belief we practice, we only for one purpose, isn't it? That is to have a better life. But what about life does come back? If we only care about this now has to be better, then we are looking at a tree on the ground. What about the other half? That is the essence that supports the tree, the life. What about that bit? If that bit doesn't been looked after, then the upper bit, we've got no chance, isn't it? So apart from sharing the message of Tao to our parents, we can also return the merits and virtues. For people who know, who already had your Tao blessing, then you will know what is merits and virtues. That is by doing good deeds. Doing good deeds that is to help people when they're in need, but this will have to have a certain dose of wisdom to come with the help. Are we really helping, or are we just pushing those people one floor deeper? So this is slightly calculation, slightly a little bit math that we need to do. So by doing this, when we are doing a good deed, and by doing this, we can send those merits and virtues back to our parents, and those will be able to increase their level of wisdom to quickly understand the meaning of life, the meaning of Tao. So they start using their very, very limited time in the right way and for the right purpose. So in the end, there will be less regret, but feel like, oh, I've done something I'm supposed to do. The other thing about ND, I don't know if you guys are aware, is then when they were in another space and they saw someone from their family, their grandparents or their deceased family members, they've always been told one thing: why are you here? You have to go back. You haven't done what you're supposed to be to finish there. You can't be here. You need to go back. There's something you need to do. They're very, very similar. And I start to think, what is the thing? What is the thing that they have to do, that they've been, forced to come back? They can't stay there. Well, anyway, all right. Any questions before I go to the next slide? All right, I'll take that no. Okay, I thought since we're talking about filial piety, I thought let's have a look at some of the wisdom from our holy teacher. So the first one is about doing good deeds and saving up the miracle assets cannot wait. So when we say that I will do this when I'm retired, or when I become wealthy enough, but which one comes first, tomorrow or the impermanence? So the so-called impermanence means something that we didn't plan, or something that's out of our ability to plan or to expect. Some sort of like something that's there, but we don't know when it will strike. That's what we call impermanence. So we always make plan. Like later, maybe you plan to go out with your friends to have a dinner somewhere at a pub, or to watch Olympics together. So we're making plan. Or next year you're going somewhere for a holiday, we're making plan. But there's always something that will change our plan. For example, the most recent one, COVID. I mean, how many people's plan were ruined because of this? You can't travel, you can't even visit your friends, you can't even go back to your parents. A lot of people lost their family members to COVID because they were in the hospital. So this is so-called impermanence. We are very, very assured at this moment only. No one is even so sure or can assure me that later in the afternoon we won't have many rain, or we won't rain. No one. Not even people who are in the weather station. No. We are only so sure at this moment. And that's how small we are. And that's how we really need to know how this life works, using our very, very little time. And the next one is cultivation develops from the learning of everyday life. We all know sometimes it can be hard. And forging through challenges to have a well-rounded mindset. So we pay little attention to things when they go against our plan. And I think it is very nature to blame things when they didn't fall on a place that we want them to be. And in terms of adult cultivation, as we mentioned earlier, it's all about knowing that everything happens for a reason. Even though sometimes it destroys our plan, but it trains us to adapt to the changes quickly. So that's why the Holy Teacher said Tao cultivation is in our daily life. It's not in a temple. It's not when you are with the master. It's not when everybody's watching. No, Tao cultivation happens in every second when we are awake. And if we can control our conscience when we dream, then congratulations, you are a few more steps advanced. And the next one is it takes time to realize that there's no right, no wrong in the end. What makes people behave differently is the knowledge of life itself. That's previously we share a few pictures of people have different occupation, and it's because they have a different knowledge, and some people use it very well, so they have a very solid contribution to the world, and others are on a different side of the spectrum. And yeah, so everyone has their work to do when in the physical form. So for what needs to be done in this life and left undone will then transferred to the next round. This is to say that when things come to you, face them. When things come to us, face them and learn from them as they need to be dealt either now or later and cannot be escaped from. So of course, this all takes practice. I mean, sometimes we all have a very down time that we just don't want to do, and it can't be bothered. Just don't want to do anything. That is reasonable. But just we have the choice to not to do anything, but we also have the responsibility to remember, if I don't deal with it now, it won't disappear. It's just like we are all joking about like when someone's feeling very, very blue, and there's nothing to cheer this person up, you will always say to them, oh, you need a holiday, you need a holiday. When we come back, you have a right mindset and you will be able to face everything. It will work for a short time, because if there's an issue in this person's life, then you will need everything but a holiday to fix that problem. Because when we go somewhere, like, okay, sometimes we go to Cornwall, we go to Edinburgh to see something new. So we have a new way of thinking, and hopefully this new way of thinking will be able to come up with some new solution and then can solve the problem. Then that's good. But if we are only going away to escape from the reality, then when we come back, the reality is still there, and nothing changed. So we have the choice to escape for now, but we just still have the ability to face it, because that's what our problem. And if life does come back, this cycle doesn't stop. So far, our Earth, or the whole solar system, or the whole universe, so far there hasn't been 1 second they stopped turning or operating. No, isn't it? And the moment we have a life so far, we live up to today. I've been in this physical form for 46 years now. There wasn't a day that my physical body or myself stopped breathing. And I think this is the sign that life, there's a reason why life called life, isn't it? The reason life called life is because life doesn't die. That's why all the NDE experiences said life does come back. And then when they come back, they have a brand new life attitude, because well, yes, at this moment they're very lucky. They get to see the gleam of the truth. Yeah. So yeah, so this is how we start to pick up the evidence and little tiny detail in the fabric of our living environment, even in our thought, they will start to offer the answer once we allow the treasure within to work with them. Right, so the next one is practice introspection in our spare time. We come to this world to advance ourselves, not to be better than others. I think this is very useful, even though it's easy, isn't it? Because our eyes are on the surface, so we are very easy to see something from the outside. Even though I can't remember what I say this to, maybe Graham or someone, just very recently. Like we always have, NASA team to go to Mars and to try to find the trace of life there. And for as far as I can remember, when I was little, they always have this sort of project. And then sometimes I couldn't help but just thinking, but we are alive ourselves, isn't it? Why don't we just study for ourselves first? We are a unit of life that is vividly functioning, isn't it? So I think for all the teachings, regardless from the Confucius or from Taoism or from Buddhism, the biggest question is always find out who you are. You need to know who you are, where you're from, so you can understand where you need to go in the end. Yeah, so this is the time for us to advance. So when there is setbacks or challenges emerges from our everyday life, not talking about embrace them, but thinking about they're here to help. Right, so the next, sorry, any questions before we continue? All right, no questions. Okay, so the next treasure is benevolence. So it's very similar to kindness, isn't it? It is, and to a slightly different degree, but maybe they are the same. So benevolence is basically to help with all color, all age, and to help people we need. I mean, the small picture on the right, the yellow one, we might not know the name of this hand's owner, but we know one thing for sure is this person needs help, and that's where we step in. Excuse me. So benevolence, it's basically it's the product of loyalty and filial piety. Without loyalty and filial piety, there will be no room, no place for benevolence. So they are engaged. They're not knock-on effect, but they are chained together. So we, in order to have all of them, we need to have each one of them and to start practice each one of them. Of course, we can practice them together when occasions arises. So be benevolent to all, not just to our, this might be slightly difficult sometimes, not just to our family or best friends, and just try to be benevolent to all that we encounter. So when we practice for benevolence for a certain period of time, it will then start to feel our ability to be compassionate. And that is when we are able to care for others that we know very little, or to like truly provide support for a stranger who would never see them again in our life. And the reason we are doing that is because they need help, just like the hand. We might not know the name of the owner of that hand, but we know they need help, and that is benevolent. And when we can have this practice in our everyday life, I'm talking about the majority people, if we can all have this practice in our everyday life, just imagine how beautiful our world would be, and just imagine how safe our world would be. I don't have children, but my friends, all my friends and my sister-in-law, they do have children. So when the children are small, my niece and my nephews are small, they always worry about. They didn't want them to go to school by their own. They don't want them to walk outside when it's getting dark. Reason? Well, it's not safe. By practice benevolence, everybody that we meet on the street is a helper, isn't it? And this is how we say always, don't underestimate the influence that we can spread out, because children see children do. And the more people doing the same thing, if it is very important, it has to be the right thing, then the more and more people will try to practice this. It's a bit like what we shared earlier about what Dalai Lama said. When wrong is wrong, even if it is doing it, right is right, even when no one's doing it. But now we have the intelligence, we have the enough brain capacity to understand that this is the right thing to do, even though it is so hard to start with. But the outcome and the result will be worth it, not just for us. It's for everybody that we know and everybody we don't know. How can we make sure those people we don't know, maybe some of them know our friends, and then in the end we become everybody know each other, isn't it? So when we are able to fully practice benevolence in our life, it then generates the unbreakable trust between us and others. And this trust isn't the one between, friends or business, because those trusts are relatively fragile most of the time. If the friendship is less than 3 months old, and the trust that is built or that grows from benevolence will be the same trust that we have towards all the sages, Buddhas and Bodhisattva. Because we keep saying, like, why sometimes when we go to the temple and when we worship the Buddhas and Bodhisattva, what makes us think by doing this, then they will look after us? Why do they have to do that? That's such a busy job being a Buddha, isn't it? If all the people are coming here asking for different things, which one would be my favorite to respond to the request? But that's the trust. And the trust that we build, like in this case, in benevolence cases, because the trust was built in the life of a crisis, isn't it? When we help people in need, that to them is a life crisis. When the trust is built over a life crisis, there's nothing that will be able to be strong enough to break this bonding in between. So when a trust bond is built over a life crisis, it will last, because nothing in this world, nothing that is more important than the life that we have. Just imagine this. Sometimes your GP just prescribe you some medication that's just so effective. You got so much gratitude you want to share with this GP. Why? Because to a degree, it cure our disease and pull me out of my agony. So now I'm pain-free. So this is very similar. So the more trust like this are built between ourselves and others or other sentient beings, the closer we are to a real world peace. So when the world peace is right here on this land that we live on, there will be no need to chase after enlightenment or to go to nirvana, because everywhere we go, we have nothing that would trigger a need that we want to escape from where we are at. So making this land a place that we want it to be able to habitat us, instead of now I'm going somewhere. I can't do anything about it. You can. Yeah, maybe one person has a very tiny influence, but when a certain number of people have share the same idea, this will eventually become what we need. So the next one is about benevolence. So the reason I'm showing this picture, I don't know how well you can see this picture, but you can see Dalai Lama is the one on the left, and then this very old woman, and then we're like shaking hand, and you can see one of the Maybe that's the bodyguard, maybe, I don't know. But he didn't look pleased, didn't he? He looked like he's like, I don't know, but that is just a learning there. So sometimes we didn't mean to, but that moment is in people's head, and that moment will stay. So we just have to be very mindful about how we react to our surrounding, because maybe we didn't mean to, but every actions, everything that we say, they all have their impact on people's life. Right, and here we are going to look at some of the benevolence quotes from our holy teacher. And the first one is to have no regrets, is to have no ego. To have no I is to be at where the sentient beings need you the most and where you are destined to be. The reason we say to be at where the sentient beings need you is about like this picture. Of course, all the masters, all the lamas from Tibetan, they all know wherever they go, and all our masters from Dao Society, they will know wherever they go, people would like to go near them. People would like to even just listen to them for a couple minutes, and they will feel like, I'm saved. I'm brand new now. I have the energy to go to work tomorrow. And the reason for it is because that's for the same reason, isn't it? That's the same feeling that we get when we go to the temple, isn't it? You feel very refreshing. You feel you have a brand new idea about life, and you feel we are a lot stronger now. Why is that? Because they're all doing the same thing. Those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas before they passed away, they were human. I mean, same as Buddha Sakyamuni. He was a human before he passed away at the age of 85. They're the same. The reason they become what they become, like a Buddha or Bodhisattva, it's not because they passed away, so they become one. No. In order to become Buddhas and Bodhisattva, we need to do what they do when we are still alive. Then after this person passed away, then you already, you will be entitled as one. We can't just pass away and have a title, I'm a Buddha. That's not possible. And that is feel like I never went to law school. I never studied law before. And then after 7 years, I claim I would like to become a lawyer. Who will really respond to that silly request? No one. And the reason why people would like to go near them, near the Buddha, near the temple, is the same, because they have this benevolence that accept everybody, feel inclusive when when they go near them. And this is the same treasure gift that we have. Try them, and then you will start to feel like, oh, I have no idea I can help so many people in my life. And that will remove the density of ego in us. And when we start to make this as a priority to practice in our daily life, then it won't take long. The I will become very, very small. And when the I become very, very small, we put ourselves in a very, very safe place. Why? Because when we are this big, then we are very easy to be seen. And when a target is very easy to be seen, then you are very easy to be attacked, isn't it? All right, so the next one is the more we experience, the more wisdom will come out of it. To worry about something is a natural reaction. Try to remember that everything is a part of the self-development process. When we can forgive someone who did us wrong, it means there's a growth in our inner state of mind. So same thing. It's like when the Buddhas, when holy teachers say the same thing to, let's say, 100 of disciples or students in a class, but because we experience different thing, someone might just got married, someone might just broke up with their partner. Same thing, but they will have a different impact when you reach to our temporal lobe, where our short-term memories are saved. So this is because our mindset or what different experiences that we have inwardly, and those are our interpreter. They interpret exactly the same piece of information differently based on how well we understand ourselves and understand the world. So if there are still things that can make us or trigger us to lose our plot, then that means that there's still way to improve. There are still rooms to improve. Everybody does. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to be better. Right. So the next one is when encountering difficulties, do we face them or turn away? And if we turn them away, we will never be able to change the situation, which is very true. If we face them, then there's a possibility to make things better. Don't be afraid of challenges. The more challenges we've dealt with, the less there will be in the future. Stabilize our mind so you won't be easily affected by the constantly changing world. In here, there's a saying, I don't know if we have talked about this before. So there are two types of different people. One is to allow the life be led by the sensation. How we feel, what we see, what we hear. This is one type. The other one is to lead their life by the mind, by the logical mind. So there will be two different results. So if we allow our sensation, well, sometimes we do. Sometimes, sometimes we just do. We don't want to do anything, just want to shop on Amazon, and just don't want to do anything, just want to play video games, that sort of thing. So these two types of choice will lead to two different results. If we allow our sensation to lead our life, then our mind will be very easily affected by our environment, because everything in our environment, even the sound, even the opinion, they change all the time, and we will feel tired very quickly because we are chasing one after another and never stopped. The other one is to allow ourselves to have a very level-headed state of mind. So we allow this mind to make a reasonable decision. So when the outside environment changes, the mind will still be very calm and to be able to think if this is anything to do with me, and if it does, what should I do to resolve the crisis? So there are two different options for us, and it is up to you, up to us, which one we like to experience. And they're all right, they're all wrong. It's so hard to really judge them, but the end result is what you would like, which is the result you would like to have, then you just choose that one. Right. Any questions before the next one? Okay. I'll take it as a note. So this one is a different treasure. It's called rectitude, and it's a very, very, sometimes when we were younger, we would sort of like misunderstood the real idea of rectitude. But now, because we are already old enough, we have some sort of moral principles, and we understand which one is the one we need to fight for, and which one is, well, that sounds right, but it's not. That's sugar coating on the outside. It's been like we talk about this a few times now. It's but sometimes we travel to some Asian countries, and if we go to the market, they always have like little birds or like little turtles, and you can buy like maybe £5 and then release them back to the nature, and it looks like we're doing charity, we release the life back to the mother nature. So everything looks right on the first front door, but if we look deeper, then we need to think those animals belong to mother nature, so who brought them here? They wouldn't just come to the market themselves, There must be a way, a transport, someone took them here and sell them for money. They didn't ask for money. No, they asked if they can talk with you. Of course they can. We can't understand them. They'll say, just get me out of here. So something that looks fine, and then people are doing it. We sometimes will need some wisdom to really think, is that really the right thing to do? So I think the rectitude here is sometimes have something to do with that. Really need to use our moral principles to understand what we are doing is the thing that should be done. So let's just see what the holy teachers say in here. So sages discipline their own mind instead of asking Buddhas to do this for them. I think this is a very common. Quite a lot of members, they have this sort of like concept that they think if they become religious, then they will be saved. And or if they become religious, and there will be no harm in their future. This is a bit like buying insurance, and then you will be safe forever. No, all the teachings, all the teaching from the 5 great religions, they are the user manual of our life. They are trying to show us, if you do this, you get A. You do this, you get B. We still need to practice it. And Dao cultivation is not to transform anyone into become more religious. It's to become more spiritual, to feel more you than before. That's the aim. It's not to I mean, look at those Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and Confucius. Look at Lao Tzu. They didn't even have a better life themselves. Why do we think by following their principles or teachings we will be happy forever? No, they all have a horrible life. Especially they all have. I mean, if you look into their childhood or their journey about searching for the answer to the truth, you will know how lucky we are, because we didn't have to go through what they have been through, because they've done that bit. And now we are enjoying their contribution. Yeah, they didn't even have a better life. How are we going to ask those Buddha, you need to look after me because now I believe in you? No, not even our parents can do that. No. So yeah, this is the one thing to know. Sorry. And okay, so sages discipline them their own mind instead of asking Buddhas to do this for them. Unenlightened beings ask Buddhas to discipline their mind for them instead of doing this themselves. The wise adjust the mind, not the body. The ignorance adjusts the body, not the mind. So I think this is just what we talk about. If we only see this physical is the only thing that we need to look after, then we are missing the most important message in our life journey. This has a limit, the one inside, the one that enables me to talk to you, to see you, and the one in you that enables you to hear me, to see all the slide I made. That's the one that we need to put some work on. Not just this one. However, I'm not saying we should get rid of this one. No, we also need to look after this one, but not to be tricked by this one. This needs to be looked after so we can go do all the good deeds and to collect merits and virtues for ourselves, or for our parents, for our children. Look after this one, but not to be led by this sensation. You want to be only the best silk, or you want only the best cushion, and to hear only the nice saying. But that is very dangerous, because no one's telling you the truth, and in no time you won't be able to see what's really going on in your whole world. Right. So the next one is to have a kind heart so that your mind is purified, to say good things so that your utterance is the breeze in the spring, do good deeds so that your behavior enriches people's lives. Isn't that just what all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas do? Even though there's a saying from our holy teacher, and to be able to see all the goods in bad, that is thou. No one is perfect in this world, apart from your own children, which you want them to be better, isn't it? You want them to be healthier. So sometimes you give them hard time. Try to stop them to eat less chocolate, to do more exercise. And the reason is the same. You want them to be better. You don't want them to have diabetes, that sort of thing. So, but in this whole world, no one is perfect, and we are not here to point the finger. Especially in our society, everything we learn, all the slides, all the teachings are to be used on ourselves only. We don't put those on others. We are not that good to put those on others. So those teachings from Holy Teacher or from all the Buddhas is for us to go home and to check which one I can try not to do as much as I get now. And then if we do this more regularly, after a certain period of time, they will definitely have some improvement in terms of how we see the world and how we interact with people, even how we view those people we do not like. So things will start to change from there, because those people that we do not like has a reason, and they're serving a purpose as well. You guys are very smart. I'll leave that one to you. But we can always talk about that if you guys would like to go a little bit deeper. The other thing, sorry, before we go to the next one, the other thing is about what's wrong about, being the one that enrich people's life. I mean, just to think about it this way. If I help 10 people, yeah, not talking about like some very serious help, but just just some sort of it's convenient for them to do. So okay, yeah, you go first. If one person helps 10 people, then 10 people will help this person. That's the easiest math to solve. So what's wrong with that? So all the things that coming from our holy teacher, if we just think for a second, they are all trying to help us to have an easier life, to try to have less friction with the people around us. Right, so the next one is ignorance is the fuel to suffering. Tao cultivation is a way to overcome ignorance. When there's no lacking of right knowledge, there will be no further suffering. So this is what we talked about earlier, to have the right knowledge about how we should be using this life and how this life should be used. Right, so the next one is the best sellers come from rough seas. The difficult times in our life are like the total waves. They put our knowledge of life into test. At the same time, they also provide an opportunity for us to understand that how much of our life can be controlled by ourselves. But because it's not our fault, isn't it? Because at the moment, everything is scientifically proved. Everything has to be scientifically evident. So the more facts or phenomena like this coming up, the more that we think we're almighty, isn't it? But no, what we can do is to understand things, not to create things. I mean, we are alive ourselves, isn't it? We're trying to understand this unit. We can't even create one yet. We tried, isn't it? We tried in the UK a long time ago. They tried to create, what's his name? A sheep. Look, I can't remember the name now, but they try to create a life form from the lab. So no, we are not that almighty yet. We're trying to understand this unit first, but not yet to create one. So we are talking about gratitude earlier, and as I said, those treasures are available in everybody, but not everybody realize. Sometimes we need to have some situation to sort of like push this treasure to surface. And there's some videos I would like to show you to witness that everybody has this treasure within. And then And then we just need to make sure to do everything that we can do to remind our friends that if we cannot exercise this, how safe our community would be, how safe our village would be. Let's have a look.
I'm just trying.
My guy, listen, this is the last final time I'm going to warn you.
I'm sorry, can you hear that? I'm a bit worried that you can't hear it.
Yes.
Cool, okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
Hi, sweetie. I know you're expecting your mom here, but she had to work late, so she sent me to pick you up in case. Maybe we can go to the park. I can take you out for some ice cream. What do you say?
No, thank you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. She told me it's okay. It's okay. It's.
How's it going?
Oh, hi.
Is it yours?
Well, it's not mine, but I'm a friend of her mom, so I'm trying to.
Do you know this guy by any chance? No.
I know you're probably waiting for your mom, but she called to tell me she's running a little late at work, so she sent me to pick you up. What do you say we go to the park? Maybe I'll get you some ice cream. Would you like that?
No, thank you.
Oh, it's okay. I'm just gonna.
You know this guy?
No, it's okay. I'm a friend of her mom's. She's
Don't
just.
touch her.
No, I'm just gonna take her to the park for some ice cream.
I'm going to say you should probably leave right now, okay?
Well, but I have to finish with the. I have to finish it. We're just gonna go to the park.
You're finished now.
We're just gonna
you
have.
can go to the park by yourself. She's going to stay here and wait for her mother.
Your mom's gonna be a little late. That's why she didn't want you to be alone.
Come this way.
So I
Come this way.
But I.
She says she doesn't know you do. Okay. You can't just come here and start talking to children.
Oh, I'm
right
just
now,
trying.
You're acting pretty creepy. She
No,
says she
I'm
doesn't know you.
I'm just.
Don't go near. Don't go near. Okay. I think you should probably walk that way, and don't look back. Okay.
We're gonna wait for her mom there, and she's gonna come later. It's gonna be all
wait
fun.
For the mom here. Let's wait for the mom here.
Well, I just thought it would be more fun for her. She's just sitting on a bench here. It's okay. It's okay. Come with me.
Don't touch her.
It's
respectfully. I'm asking you to leave.
I'm just trying to help her out. I'm just trying to do a favor for her
She doesn't know you. Do you know him?
But it's okay. You can trust
No,
me.
no. Sir, do not touch her. I'm gonna ask you to leave, please. Go.
Hi, sweetie. I know you're waiting for your mom, right? Well, she just called me a little while ago, and she says she can't pick you up right now. Like she's held up at work, so she sent me to go. So what do you think? What do you say we go to the park? Maybe I get you some ice cream? Huh?
No.
You'd like that, wouldn't you? No, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just come with me. It's just.
She said no.
Oh, it's okay. I'm a friend of her mom's.
She said no. Do you know this guy?
No.
No?
I'm a friend of her.
No, I'm sorry. She said no.
I'm just trying to help
Buddy,
her.
that
We
way.
just-
Please.
Your mom said that she's running a little late, like she's hung up at work, so she sent me to pick you up. What do you say? We can go to the park. We can get some ice cream. What do you think?
No, thank you.
Hey, excuse me. Do you know this guy?
No, I never met him.
Hey, what's the problem here?
I'm sorry. It's okay.
Hello. She said she don't know you.
Her mom. I'm a friend of her mom's.
Back off. She doesn't know you.
Just get out of school now?
Yeah.
Yeah. You like school? What's your favorite subject?
My favorite subject is art.
Oh, are you good at art, like the drawings and the paintings and stencils and all that? I used to love that.
Hey, excuse me. Do you know this man?
We're just talking about school.
I'm gonna have to ask you to step away from her.
But I wasn't doing anything harmful.
Yeah, but she's not waiting for anybody.
But we're just talking. We're just talking.
I'm gonna call the police if you don't back off, all right?
It's okay. I can just take her. I'm just trying.
My guy, listen, this is the last final time I'm going to warn you. Get away! I'm going to give you my food.
Right, so this is the I don't know why is that. So this is the video I would like to show everybody, and this is actually the scenario is the same, and they test this. There's so many the same video that you can find on YouTube. It's not to tease people, but it's actually really to remind us that within everybody, there's the true treasure, the beauty within, that we all have the ability to look after each other. We all have the ability when occasion arises. So the next one is not just for the children. I don't know if you can see. This is another one, but it's slightly different. And I don't know if you've ever seen this one before. And the reason I chose this one and the one with the children is because let's have a look first, and then we will discuss after this.
Not here. Look at the. How you doing, man? Is it okay if you could spare that slice for me, please?
Nah, man, I work for this, bro. White trash, me, man.
Really? Hi, how you doing, man?
What's up, man?
Can I please have a slice? I'm very hungry.
I'm sorry, brother. I can't. Not today.
All right, sorry for asking. Enjoy your slice, sir. Hello, excuse me. Can I have a extra slice? I'm hungry.
No. Fuck out of here. Fuck out of here. I'm hungry too. Fuck out of here. You got true religions on there, Nike? Fuck out of here. Get the fucking job.
Sorry for asking. What's going on, buddy? How you doing? We ate a lot of, slices. You want the rest? All right, here you go, man. All right, take care, buddy. Hello, how you doing? I'm really hungry. It's hard out there, man. You have an extra slice in there? Yeah, you sure? You wouldn't mind? Appreciate it, man. It's so hard out there. Yeah. I know how you feel, man. It sucks. I really thank you. Thank you so much. Well, I'm gonna get going. Thank you once again. I appreciate it so much. I want to being so generous to me. I want to give you a nice little tip, man. Thank you. God bless you, all right?
Right, so that's the end of that video. And the reason I chose this too. All right, any feedback before before I start? So I chose the one with the children and the one with this adult. And the reason for that is people tend to be more willing to help the vulnerable ones. And when it comes to the second video, we can see there are two, they are the teams, they ask for food. Of course, their attitude when they ask for food maybe can be more gentle, but they weren't. They've been rejected. And so the reason to look into it, why they didn't get anything to eat, they were asking from those people who were having their lunch if they can have a slice of their pizza, but they were being sent away. And I'm sure if there was a little child or children, they will have something to eat. So here we are looking at people are more willing to help those vulnerable. But when you are that big, you might not get as many help as you wish. And here is a moment that we need to really, sometimes we need to have some wisdom. There are things around the world nowadays, especially that those vulnerables that are being I really hate to use the word, been trafficked to do something. But so we really need to sometimes to really think carefully before we act. So that's one thing. And the other thing is those people who refuse, the second video, those people who refuse to share some of their food with those two young men, what stopped them from doing this? It's because maybe they think you guys are, tall and healthy, you should go get yourself a job, and then you should make your own money, you should buy your own lunch, and stop asking or sharing my food. My life might be worse than yours. So this is the preconception, the very stereotype of assumption that we can have, everybody can have, when we see something and straight away we project what we think that is right according to our experiences. And this is how important how we choose to experience it, because everything that we said, everything that we do, it becomes part of our memory, and that is how we experience the world. So this is the reason I chose to show this. And the reason that man now on the screen, he of course is homeless, he didn't have anything, and he was given a pizza. I'm sure that pizza, I don't know, £10 and some cash. I don't think that would be like billion pounds, but maybe a couple £100. So altogether is not something that is like unachievable to a degree. But he was in tears, and that tells us one thing: when someone has been in a very vulnerable situation, for a very very long time, that's how fragile their mindset will be. I'm not saying we need to be like homeless to have that sort of a fragile mindset. When we are being exposed to a environment that is so dysfunctional to us, we will have exactly the same fragile mindset as this man. All I'm saying is we have no idea what happened underneath, under the skin. When we meet someone and they smiling and laughing and their tone is very healthy, and we expect they're fine, but we have no idea what is underneath, what they're being through at the moment, what sort of battle they're fighting. So this is to send a message to always be kind, because what we can see is very very little. What we can say sometimes that becomes that person's memory for the rest of that life. So that's why we need to be very very gentle, and in choosing what we say to others, especially when we know very very little about that person or that situation. Or go a bit further up to the first slide, we know very little about the world. We know very little about the life we're using every day. So be open-minded. Everything is possible. We are now in a stage to really thank you for all the scientists. Thank you for all the professors. They're still working in their faculty to cook up a explanation that we can understand. People like me can understand what life is all about. So that is the message I was trying to share with you. I'm really sorry that the second one is a bit upsetting, but hey, to some people, that's life. That's the reality of their life. So here is to see the wisdom and also the kindness. Right, so in here, I would like to have a look at this cause and effect. Some people don't believe it, but something it's not about we don't believe it, so that it won't exist. It still exists, even we don't have any knowledge of it. But in Dao society, especially in Dao society, to understand cause and effect is very, very crucial. I mean, look at this picture. There's a can't really tell is that a small child is doing some fireworks and then cause the fire. The next door to the house is in fire. If we only look at things from the right, we will never be able to understand where the fire comes from, isn't it? It's always about the perspective, not about not about the reality. So we can only see this side, so we of course can only understand this side. So in Dao society, in Dao cultivation, it is very essential to understand the law of cause and effect. And the quicker and the earlier we can get this right, the sooner the inappropriate cause can be resolved and settled. Otherwise, we spend all our life asking about why this happens to me, why not you? Why this happens to me, why not them? Our life is not for us to spend on moaning all the time, but it's to spend on trying to understand why this happened to me. Is there any way I can break the pattern? If there's any way I can better it when it happens next time. So the good deeds or the good causes are usually planted or done during the daytime. That means not afraid to let others know. Some people even go as far as they can to make sure that everyone knows they just done a good deed, but that would no longer be a good deed. Anyway, so the inappropriate causes are usually done when there's no one around, when no one is watching. But the truth is, yes, there was no one around when the inappropriate deed was planted. However, when the time ripes, when the effect comes out, then everybody will know, isn't it? There's no place to hide, and so this is from our holy teacher. When suffering, instead of complaining, try to understand the cause of it so it can be avoided. When things come, use the right mindset to form a right decision so a sound future is not far from us. Sometimes when we talk about a cause and effect, it sounds very heavy, doesn't it? But cause and effect is actually very easy to understand. Like, okay, so if I have an exam next week, and if this weekend I decide to waste it, I'm not going to do any study. So who is going to suffer the effect next week by having a very poor result of my exam? Myself. Or maybe the children at home, they didn't want to do any homework. And then next Monday, not far, only 2 days away. So when they go back to school, who will need to accept the punishment? The children, even though next week is half term. That's what I'm saying. That's how quickly cause and effect. So in the short term, what we are doing now. So later, maybe I decide to go for a run, and that's the cause. And effect is after I do the run, I will feel better, and maybe I will be able to lose some weight. So that's the good cause and effect. So cause and effect is not just about the whole lifetime. It's each decision we're making now, they all have their consequence. That's a pure physics, isn't it? When one action goes out, there's a reaction comes back. Comes back to where? Comes back to where the source that sends out the action. Right, so the next one, Dao cultivation is based on the strength of complete integrity and the profound knowledge of the truth. To practice integrity is to hold ourselves accountable even when no one pays attention to us. And this is the key to Dao cultivation. I heard a joke not long ago about people sometimes we all have a second personality, don't we? we behave differently in front of different people, and then when it's just ourselves, we feel so relaxed. We don't need to wear so many masks. And then when people go to temple, they are very smiley, very kind, they're very, very polite. And then when they're home, there's no boundary. They start to show their true color. And then the family might just wonder, where is your manner? Where is your kindness? Because when we're at home, because we know our family member every day, we don't have the boundary. We say whatever we want, and that hurt people. And they will start questioning, where is your manner? And then the other one will say, oh, I leave that in the temple. So that's a joke, but that's a joke about integrity. So in terms of Dao cultivation, we try to preach to do what we preached, but as what we said, we're all here to learn. No one is better than the other one, and no one is worse than the other one. Something you are very, very good, you definitely will have something that's quite weak. So that's why everybody is the same. We are here to learn together. And the next one is, if we use our physical body on planning evil deeds, then you will only bring us bad karma. Yeah, karma has good karma and bad karma. If we use it in doing good deeds, it will not only benefit ourselves, but the countless sentient beings. Because just like what we said before, when one person helps 10 people, of course 10 people will come to help you when you need it. So that's the most beneficial thing that we can do to look after ourselves and our children, isn't it? Because when we look after theirs, and when ours needs someone to be there, there will be someone that's willing to be there for ours. Same thing. Right, the last one is when failed to communicate. I like this one. When failed to communicate with others, the frustration and dissatisfaction will rapidly surface between ourselves and others. This is because there are seeds of these emotions in our subconscious, which were planted in previous lives. These emotions will continue to exist in our behavior and interfere our decision making if we decide to allow them to do so. What does that mean if we decide to allow them to do so? That means if we just allow that to happen, allow our emotion to spill. But by not allowing it, we need to have the right knowledge. And the right knowledge in this case is to understand things comes back, life comes back. If I allow this situation to go as bad as I want it to be, because I just, I'm not having it, then it comes back to me again until I can fix it. So if I one day or finally realize, no, I think I have enough of it. I don't want to have this sort of like a burden or suffering again. Then when this happens, when something that is so unfair, something that is so unbearable happens again, but I'm not just going to see how unbearable it is or how unfair it is. I'm just going to see, right, if I let this one, through the whole situation, and I'm not going to fight against it. I'm not going to trying to find a reason why you're saying this to me, because there must be a reason, but I just can't see why. No, I want to stop everything from here, from me now. But you wouldn't. You might have to take a few tries. It's easy to say than done, isn't it? And then the next time when it comes back, the impact of this how do I say, the strength of this situation will start to weaken. And from the moment we decide to let go, has to have something to underpin why we're letting it go. It's not about just forgiveness. It's about it comes back. If you would like to experience this unpleasant situation, go for it, fight with it, use all your energy to fight with it, because you will have to do it again. But if one day we finally feel like, oh, I had enough of it, I don't want to go through it again, that's the moment we start to make things change. And that is the moment we start to make new changes for our life pattern. Have a go, have a try. I tried that theory on my personal life a few times, and it worked. But the thing to share is it's not easy at all. But the waiting for that moment, you know what? People wouldn't give up until they had enough. People wouldn't change until the moment they think they had enough. Until that moment comes, no one will change. So good luck, everybody. If you are trying to, are still waiting for something to change. Right. The next one is from our Holy teacher, and then I think I shared that one already. Oh, let's jump to the second one. Use our life wisely. One of the main questions, there's a typo there. One of the main questions that needs to be answered is why we are here in the world, and then why where we will be when this lifespan ends. Okay, so we talk about this quite a few times. Just really need to understand why we're here. And not the answer from the textbook, not the answer from others' perspective, but from your own perspective, why we're here, why you're here. Before you were your name, who are you? And where are you, where is this you going to go in the end? So we can always listen, open-minded to listen, but in the end of the day, we are the one that need to do the thinking. And the next one is, if we do not understand life, we won't know how to look after it. That's the trait that we talked about earlier. Life is called life because it has a root. The root requires care and to be fertilized. Find out what it needs, then you will be able to make the most of it. At the moment, do we know what we need for our life? I don't think the majority gets it. We do know what we need for the everyday life. You know, go to work, get yourself a coffee, listen to podcast, and wait for the time to close your desk, go home, go to bed, and get up. That's our life. Always, scientists say that our life is a miracle. Do you think we're using our life in a miracle way? Go to work, 9 to 5, 8 to 4, whichever, and then hate the job, hate the people you work with. Do you think we spend our life in the right way? I will leave that one with you. Right, the last one. To not be agitated takes an incisive understanding of what is important, and vice versa. When there are still cravings for sense of gratification, there's the entanglement. When there's the entanglement, there will be no infinite liberation. And this is all about, not just about letting it go, not just about get over it. It all needs a reason to understand it, because it's a bit like forgiveness. It's hard to ask the victim to forgive, isn't it? If we only force or request the victim to forgive, it's inhuman. If we only look at this layer of world or this layer of life, it's been hurt. How can we ask a victim to forgive? Instead, I think, to understand the reason why this is happening. Just like I said earlier, why me? Why this happened to me? Why not you? I didn't do anything to deserve this. Yes, if we only look at this life, maybe I didn't do anything to deserve this. But oh yeah, there are people saying like there's no previous life because I can't remember any of them. Well, if that theory is true, then I can say there's no 1980 because I don't have a memory of them. There is a 1980, you just don't remember. Same thing. If we only look at this life, yes, maybe someone didn't do anything to deserve that sort of violence. But if we have like people who have NDE experience, they finally understand there's a reason that this happened to me. And then you ask them, would you let go? Would you just forgive? They will have a different answer. They will not just say let it go. They will not just say get over it. They will not just ask the victim to forgive. They will definitely say something about this is a part of a learning. This is a part of a learning process. And then we are here to get this complete. So everyone has their own research to do, homework to do. So instead of asking people to forgive, I think it would be more useful if they understand there's a reason, there's a force behind everything, and this is the same force that put everyone together, they put everything together. on that moment that something happens to this group of people. Right. Okay, so my last slide is this one. So I know there are so many teachings that we need to do, and some sound very challenging, and some sound very new, and some doesn't really align with your life pattern. Dog cultivation is really very result oriented. What do we want in the end is what we need to do now. It's a bit like what we like to harvest, we need to plant the seed now. So this is from we can see from the picture. The water is very soft, isn't it? It will never be able to make marks on rock. It will if you give it enough time to do so. So the first one is 15 years of erosion, nothing really, very, very nothing. And the second one is 25 years of erosion. We start to see a gap, 25 years, and then 50 years of erosion, there's a ditch. There's a ditch on the rock. And this is just to remind ourselves, whichever we put into practice will become like that. Even though some of the practice will really take some ambition to do it, the thing to remember here is this is not our permanent home. Definitely not. The earth is not our permanent home. Home, what is a home? You know what, you guys? I just realized I overrun the meeting for 2 minutes. Sorry, I will stop here now. I will share what I didn't finish next time. Okay, thank you for all your patience. Any questions, guys, before I let you go? I just realized that. 2 minutes. Any questions from you?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your patience and listening. Yeah, okay. So I know it's late and in some country there. I'm not going to keep you here. But if any questions you'd like to discuss later or any ideas that come to you after this class, just text me or message me, and then we can always use that as one of the material that we can have in our next class. So if no questions, it was lovely to see you, and I wish you have a lovely rest of the weekend, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.